Alrighty, welcome to this next episode of Your Music, Your Story. We're out in Huntington, California. We're away from the snowy Riverside, and we're talking with American Made. So how's it going?
Well, hey, good.
One of the members of American Made.
Yep, I'm Ryan. I play bass and sing for American Made.
All right, so go ahead and who else is in the band with you?
Not here is Josh Neal, who plays guitar, and he also sings about half the songs. I've been playing with him since we were kids, so he's been in the band the entire time. Nick Niccioli is our other guitar player. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by my wife taking pictures. Nick Niccioli is our other guitar player. He's been with us since around, it's got to be about almost 20 years now. I think he joined our band in about 2004, and maybe 2003. And then Chris Lowbridge is our drummer. We've known him since we were kids, but he's been playing in our band for, I'm going to say he's probably been in it 10 years.
Okay.
So we've all been together quite a while. In fact, Chris had filled in. He's quite a talented musician. He filled in on guitar for us at times when Nick was injured and stuff like that. So he played guitar for us and then ended up being our drummer later on. So
how'd that work?
Pretty cool.
Where you're like, hey, we need a drummer instead.
Yeah, well, we knew he was a ripping drummer, but he's also a ripping guitar player. In fact, he also plays bass for a band called Sea of Snakes, which is like a stoner metal band that's pretty cool. So he plays everything. But I've known him, since he was about 13 years old. So he was a ripping 13-year-old drummer. So we knew that we had that in our back pocket.
Oh, nice.
We ever needed it.
Nice.
Before him, we had a guy named Pat McGrath that played drums for us, who was super high level drummer. He actually he played on, it's really well known. It's the Seosin first EP. I think it's called Translating the Name. He was the studio drummer on that, and then after he recorded it, they got another drummer and used him for like the touring and everything. But Pat was the guy that actually played on the album. So if you listen to that, you'll see how technical he was. But he ended up leaving our band and he joined 10 Foot Pole for a brief period of time and went on tour to Europe with them. And so during that time, we replaced him with Chris, and it just ended up jiving. So that's how it stuck.
Nice. So 10 Foot Pole, huh?
Yep.
We always used to listen when me and my boss would go to Vegas for work, and I always talk about that and talk about going to a baseball game to go see Resnick and yell out 10 Foot Pole lyrics. But never happened because we don't like baseball.
Yep.
But, so that was a question. So on your albums, you've got 4 albums on your webpage, and one of them is from 96.
Right.
So how many lineup changes has it been since then?
So 96 was Josh, myself, and we were only a 3-piece band at that time. So Josh is still with me. Basically, we've been the 2 full-time, and we've been together almost 30 years now, our band has. So, I mean, our first album was 96, and I think we started playing a couple of years before that. So we're coming up on almost 30 years at this point. But Josh and I were on that album, and then our drummer was a guy named Jason Siemens. He's currently the drummer for the Pegs, their local band. Yeah. So, and put that out, and So
what would you say your style is?
I can tell you who our influences are. Can
I take a guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because when I was listening to them, there's definitely some NoFX in there.
Which album did you listen to? Because I think it does change a little bit over time.
All 4 of them. Mm-hmm. Like, what was it? The one, Misery? Is that number 3? Mm-hmm. Either that one or the middle one. I definitely said that it sounded like some guitars. There were some Descendants type.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I think the similarity that we have with NoFX is that we like to use octaves in a lot of parts, kind of the same way they do. The way that transpired a little bit for me is that because, like you mentioned, I'm a piano player, so I have at times have written a lot of songs on the piano, and so what I'll essentially do is take the chord and I'll play the bass note of the chord, and then I'll have Josh play the middle note of the chord, and then I'll have Nick play the high note of the chord, so it comes out like a chord rather than
everyone
like a broken chord rather than a power chord. It just gives it a little bit like wider, fatter kind of feel. So, but it can sound octavey. So, like you mentioned, some of it can sound like NoFX. But then we also like hardcore too. So you'll hear some hardcore songs mixed in there as well. Yeah. It's like I think we're kind of diverse in that way that you can listen to an album and one song sounds like it could be off of a Slayer album, and the next song sounds like it could be off of, a Descendants album. So
yeah, I mean, it was kind of like a roller coaster, because there was some that sounded like some Bad Religion in there. Mm-hmm. There was kind of some that, like the early one, that first one in '96 definitely gave me a Propagandhi type sound and feel.
Yep. Yeah, very much. Propagandhi's been one of my favorite bands for my whole life, so definitely an influence. And like them, I think we've kind of changed a little bit in the sense that our songwriting. I mean, you listen to their current albums now, and then you listen to their early albums, and they're night and day different.
Yeah.
I don't know if ours are quite as different as theirs are, but I feel like we've sort of gone through over 30 years. You go through a little bit of a like I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but a progression over that time. So
yeah, I mean, but there's definitely some similarities. Like if you played the new one and then your first one, you could tell. Okay, I mean, it's the same band, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just become more mature. The songwriting's become more mature. If you listen to those old songs, it's like we're like teenagers, so just it's kind of bratty.
Teenage angst and all that.
Yeah, and then and more like there's more girly songs on those ones about us whining about and being little bitches. And like we've become less
teenagers,
less big of bitches over time.
Hopefully, it would be nice if we all did that.
So
one of the ones out on the album, your new one. Just on question on that one again. When did you originally do this one?
So yeah, that one we recorded it. Well, we put it out in 2014. This is the Time album we're talking about, and it was kind of an odd time because we had been kind of winding down. We hadn't been playing very many shows. We went through a few years where we were only playing like 2 or 3 times a year for a few years in there.
Oh wow.
And then we had all these songs sitting around, so we went in and recorded it. I had never thought that album was going to happen. I mean, the way things felt was that things were winding down. Didn't expect to ever do another album. I thought we'd maybe just play once or twice a year until we didn't anymore.
Until you just moved
and then,
on.
But for some reason, I don't know if I think maybe we played a good show and got like excited for a couple days or whatever. And anyway, we decided to go, and we had a bunch of good songs, so we went in and recorded that, and so we finished the album and put it out. But we had like no energy at the time that we put it out, so we just basically finished it and kind of gave it out to some friends and put it on our website and just never really did anything to push it. And we weren't very, as time went on, we just were less and less happy with how it came out. Not so much the songs themselves, but just
the sound.
Yeah, we just didn't like, and you haven't heard it because you probably only heard the new, the one that's up there on right now. But it just, it just didn't. We just didn't like the recording or the mix. It just didn't jive for us. It wasn't the same level that our albums before it had, and we had gone to a different guy for that one. So more recently, when we started to play more often, basically when COVID ended, it really ignited us. Like all that sitting around got us to go, hey, let's play some shows. And then did you do much anything during COVID? Because that was a lot of blow to a lot of people. We didn't do any music really. We did play, I think, one time in September that year.
Oh wow.
So so we played a show. I want to say it was with, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong on this, but I want to say it was like maybe DI and Guttermouth at the Gas Lamp in January, and then like a couple weeks after that, we played with Agent Orange at the Doll Hut in February, and then COVID hit,
and then nothing, and
then we got invited to play a like AA. There was no shows going on, because everything was shut down. But for whatever reason, these AA guys that owned like a Masonic lodge or like a, one of those places put on what's probably an illegal show.
But it worked.
And we went and played it. And it was funny because like I was just like, oh, cool, something to do. And we went down and played, and it was outdoors and all that stuff. But we took a lot of hate for doing that. Like a bunch of people
because of COVID?
Yeah, when we posted that we were playing it, a bunch of people started posting how we were killing grandmas and all that kind of shit, So I was like, and like I don't care so much about that. It was like, it's like, whatever.
But, was there a fair amount of people that showed up?
Yeah, because it was like the whole crowd. It was the whole like AA clinic place. So it was all these sober people. But
sure, they had fun.
It was. I mean, it was fun just to get out, and it was a cool setup. They were barbecuing and doing all this stuff, and I'm sure that it was probably something that would have been frowned on because barely anybody. I mean, it's like in the peak of COVID and nobody's really wearing masks and, they're sharing plates and, all that kind of stuff. But
they're like, we're done drinking. We don't care.
Well, we were just so full of angst at that time. We're like, we need to get out and do something. I'm willing to take the risk at this point. But we played it and took a bunch of hate on. Well, I wouldn't say a bunch, but there was about 50-50 people saying, hey, cool, good for you, get out, do something. And the other 50 were like mad. But what I did realize is that I'm like, the world wasn't quite ready for shows yet, because it's like trying to get people to come out wasn't really going to happen. So it just didn't, even if you were going to be the rebel and play shows when you weren't supposed to, you weren't going to get a lot of people to come out anyway. So there just wasn't a whole lot of point.
That's rough.
But what were we talking about?
So you did the album originally.
Yeah. So anyway, after COVID and when things started to open up, we started trying to play more just because we were tired of being cooped up, and we weren't happy with the album. So we ended up bringing it back to Sean Sullivan, who had done our last 2 albums before that.
Okay.
And had him remix it for us, and we added a bunch of backup vocals. We did way more than a remix. We added a bunch of guitar parts to it, added a bunch of backup vocals to it, redid all the tones. So we did a lot of work on it. It was almost like as if we just we only recorded half the album and we finished the album. I mean, we did a lot of work on it. So it sounds quite a bit different, and it sounds, just as good as if not better than our other albums. And so, we just wanted to have something.
It does sound good.
We wanted to have something high quality to be proud of if we were going to go out there and start pushing and making a run again. So.
Nice. Yeah. So can we put some of the songs in here? I don't know if you're on the label and people don't.
Yeah, no, you can use whatever you want.
So the ones
we own them all.
Nice. The one. So I just went through and got 4 off that first album. The one that my favorite I have to see would be 5th Street.
Driving up north on I-15 with a pocket full of money and some broken dreams. He's always kind of been a big gambling guy, and now he's finally putting it on the line. But you can't destroy him in any sense, cause he has no identity. He was cut up into little parts by everyone he knows, and everybody took a piece. But he'll be alright if better luck's coming on 5th Street. So just hang on tight, cause nothing really matters to him anyway. And if it's wrong or right, he does what he does to survive. And he's just like us, cause we all had high hopes. Remember when we all were kids, laying in the grass and counting clouds. We eat, we breathe, time passes by. We must decide to live our lives. Yeah! He was dropping down beds like bombs and opinions and praying about a different world and a second chance, another hometown. He tried to think of every choice and every moment that led him down this path that came in here, and he pushes all in, and he'll be alright if better luck's coming on 5th Street. So just hang on tight, cause nothing really matters to him anyway. And if it's wrong or right, he does what he does to survive. And he's just like
Okay.
I think that one was my favorite.
Yeah, that's more of like, that's definitely one of the more like NoFX-y, poppy kind of songs on there. So
what does that have a meaning? I mean, I assume it's about gambling or something.
Yeah. It's basically just kind of, well, I love Vegas. It's like my favorite place other than here. So like I play poker and just love, I love going to Vegas and doing all that.
Vegas life.
Doing all that Vegas life stuff. So I just, I was like, wanted to make a Vegas song. So it's basically just kind of about like a guy that's down hard on his luck. For some reason, it reminded me like the song, the sound of the song reminded me almost a little bit of like a Social D song or something like that.
Okay.
So I just kind of like got into my Mike Ness mindset and paired it with my love for Vegas and kind of wrote a little story about a guy that's he's just, kind of down on his luck and giving up everything and going to Vegas and putting it all down on black. And that's the theme
Hope
of the
you
story.
win.
Yep. So
So
anyway,
favorite.
the reason it's called Fifth Street, if for anybody that doesn't know, is in poker, the last card that's turned in Texas Hold'em is called Fifth Street. So
I guess I didn't know that.
The line is, he'll be all right if better luck's coming on Fifth Street. So when that next card turns, he'll be all right if he hits his card that he needs. Is kind of the idea of the song.
Yeah, dang Vegas. We go out there every 3 months for work, and they used to be cool. We used to go, we'll go hang out. Then I don't drink, but the guys we work with do, and you go to work and then go walk the strip at night and go everywhere. Now when we go, I go down to Crumble, get some cookies.
Yeah, it's definitely changed. It was better before, and the last time I went out there, it was way more expensive than like pre-COVID even. But I don't know, for some reason.
Vegas.
Vegas just has everything I love. I don't know what it is.
Do you guys ever go out and I know they got like punk rock bowling out there?
Yeah, punk rock bowling. I've gone out to that before.
I've heard it's cool.
Usually, I mean, honestly, it's funny. I like going to punk rock bowling, but usually I like to just go out there and kind of chill out. I like go out there. I try to stay in the most affordable, nice hotel I can, kind of wine and dine. Like I'll go to fancy restaurants and, spend money I would never spend it around here. And I like to gamble all night and have drinks and meet up with friends and just kind of party it up for the weekend and then come home and not do that for a while so I can recover.
Do you have a favorite game? Is it like poker, blackjack?
Yeah, poker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't really play much other. I'll play a little bit of craps if I'm with somebody that knows what they're doing. I always learn craps and then I forget and then I have to relearn it the next time I go out there. And then I'll play a little bit of blackjack, but I'm not very good, so if I win like a little bit, then I take off before I lose it. Yeah. But poker's my game.
Yeah, we found a big old piece of 8 by whatever piece of cardboard. It was like I think 1.5 inches thick, and so we made a craps table in college.
Yep.
So we could teach ourselves and everybody, and then didn't play for a while. Went back to Vegas. I was like, I got this. Stood in front of that board. And I'm like, do I put money here? I had no idea anymore.
Yeah, it's. I don't know what it is about craps, but I like completely learn the game every time I play, and then I completely forget the game every time I come back again.
That's all right. Who cares? So another one I liked definitely was the beginning of the anti-rape machine.
So I'm free to go, right?
Yeah, you're free to go.
Okay, thank you.
All right, where
Appreciate
you guys heading?
I'm being detained or I'm free to go?
No, I'm asking you a question, but you can be pulled out of the car and I can search it if you really want.
How is that?
Any way I want. Doesn't mean I can use what I find, but I can do it. So you want to do that? You want to play that game, a little hard ass, or you want to go back to Richmond?
All I'm saying is...
Don't talk shit,
I'm not talking
shit. You guys
shit.
are all over there, a bunch of tatted up gangsters and everything, hanging out in
I'm not a
motels.
gangster.
Yeah, but you're all tatted up. You're sitting there.
My son's name? My son's name?
You can't even park the damn car right. You're over there. She's all tatted and everything else. She's not even from around here, all right? So don't come here and talk shit.
I was taking a picture. How am I talking shit to you, officer?
You're talking shit. Am I being detained or what? I told you you could go, right? So go.
All right.
Get the fuck out of here.
To the top extortion.
Like the first riff, that totally reminded me of like an old Ministry, just a thick.
That's my Slayer influence because that's another one of my favorite bands. So especially like the beginning part, you know, is just kind of like that slower, heavy part. But when it goes into the fast part, you'll hear definitely kind of like a Slayer type.
Like the pull. It sounds like there's some pull offs in there.
And there's even a little effect that we use in there, like towards right after coming out of the breakdown. There's an effect on there that Slayer uses in some of their songs on. I can't remember which album. I want to say it was maybe off the Diabolus and Musica album, but they used this kind of like weird delay effect. And so when I was working with our sound guy, I'm like, "Oh, hey, dude, can you find that? I think that'd sound really cool right here." So we kind of did that's like a little nod to Slayer with that effect as well.
Hold on, I gotta hear it. I don't know if I even paid attention on that one.
It only happens for a couple seconds, like after 4 of these or something.
Yeah,
With a fist in the air!
sounds awesome.
The Constitution!
I never really paid attention.
Yeah, it's just a little subtle thing. But if you go and listen to that Diabolus and Musica album by Slayer, there's a few parts on that album where they put that. It might even be on. I think they might even use it on God Hates Us All. I'm trying to remember exactly. I'm getting my songs mixed up, but there's a couple albums that they use that, and I thought it sounded super cool. So I showed it to our engineer. I'm all, what's this effect? He's all, yeah, I got you.
Oh, he knew what you were talking
Popped
about?
it on there. Yeah, it was killer.
Oh, that's awesome. So how long were you in the studio redoing this?
Well, it's hard to say exactly because it was, we'd work on it a little bit and then like do nothing for a couple of weeks and then work on it a little bit and do nothing. So, I mean, from the day we started till the day we ended was probably like 6 or 7 months, but it wasn't like we were working on it straight the whole time.
So now when you went originally, did you have the ideas of, okay, this is everything we're going to do, or did things change? Okay, let's make some changes as you went.
When I first went in there, I was like, let's just remix it and get some better tones. And then, but the guy that, Sean Sullivan, who we've worked with a bunch, like he really gets us and knows us really well as far as our music goes. And so he's like, dude, this part's thin. You should put another guitar part. And he kind of helped produce it a little bit and it gave some suggestions. And we just kept kind of, as things transpired, just started adding more and more little stuff to it. And then it was like, okay, you added stuff to these. Now you can't leave all these other songs blank. So now you got to kind of spruce up all of them. So it ended up being quite a project, but we're like super happy with how the album came out now. So, which we weren't before.
Yeah, it definitely sounds good. So one question, you have a very thick bass tone. Are you a finger player or are you a pick player? Or
no,
both?
I play pick. Okay. And to be honest, it's funny because I'm not really even originally a bass player. The way that really went down is I was a guitar player. Well, I'm originally a piano player, like we talked about. That was my first instrument. And then I started learning guitar when I was, 12 or 13 years old. And so Josh and I wanted to start a band, and we were both guitar players, and we were like trying to find a bass player and trying to find a drummer. And eventually we found a drummer and I was like, well, I'll just play bass until we can find a bass player. And then
you're stuck.
Yeah. Well, he was a better guitar player than me. And so, he's like, I'll play bass until we find somebody. And then that's just how it kind of ended up. And then we ended up finding another guitar player down the road and I just stayed on the bass. So
do you still play guitar?
I mean, I fiddle around. I'm not I wouldn't call myself a great guitar player, but I can pick up an acoustic and, play rhythms and stuff.
Okay. That's awesome. So how did you get your sound on that? Was that just a straight DI in, or did you use effects? Because it's thick.
Yeah, I use a thing called a Sans amp. It's basically a preamp.
I've heard such things.
Yeah. So basically, I have a rack mount. Well, I use an Ampeg head, which is a pretty punchy head.
Yeah.
And then I added the Sans amp preamp to it, and then I just cranked the drive super hard on it, and I've just played around with the tones as far as the mids and the lows and everything, and found the spot that seems to blend the best with what we're doing.
Which Ampeg head do you use? Or
I have the number. It's sitting over there. I'd have to look at the number. I can't remember what the number is off the top of my head, but a good one.
Yeah, because I've got a B4.
Yeah,
I like it.
Let's find out. Take 1 second. I'm like super non-techy.
I hear you.
So like when people start talking tech, I'm like, I don't know. My bass has 4 strings.
Does it sound good? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I've played the same rig for years and years and years. The only time I've ever changed my head is like when the other ones blew out. I usually just buy I played Gallon Krugers for a little while, and then I switched to the SVT7 Pro.
Ooh, I have that same tuner.
And there's that Sans amp right there.
Oh, you have a rack mount Sans amp.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen the pedals.
Yeah. So that's where I first came across the Sans amp. Was a friend of mine played in a band called the X Members. I don't know if you've heard
Sounds
of them.
familiar.
They had Gabby, who was the singer of Cadillac Tramps.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
It was kind of like an all-star lineup, like a bunch of guys from other bands. It had like Gabby was a singer. This guy Roger Ramjet, who played for like Smut Peddlers and some of those bands, was the guitar player. Ray Bones, who was a friend of mine, played guitar for him. And then at one point, one of the guys left the band. I don't remember. I think it might have been Roger. And this guy Dash took his spot, and he was a friend of mine. And I was like, "How do you get that tone? That thing sounds awesome." And he was like, "I use this Sans amp pedal." So then, when I started looking at it, I was looking, kind of just going online and trying to find one, and I came across that rack mount, and I'm like, "Oh, perfect! That would be way easier than having to deal with a pedal." So,
so you don't use any pedals, so you just everything. That's all you use. Well, it sounds good. It sounds
Thanks,
very
man. Appreciate
thick.
it.
I like it. Yeah, because some of your pictures it looked like on some that it looked like you were using your fingers, but maybe you just couldn't quite see.
No. I mean, there may be. No, it's not regularly. There may have been times where I dropped a pick, or or
you're like,
maybe,
I got
maybe
this.
I just wanted to do put kind of a softer feel on a opening part or something, and just like kind of held the pick between a couple fingers and just finger picked it. But no, usually it's all pick.
Okay, because I was gonna say because there's a few times I'm like, man, that sounds like a pick, but man, looked like he had fingers. That is impressive.
I know.
That's a good.
That
clean,
would be impressive.
a nice bright tone with your fingers.
Yeah.
So another one was Sheeple. Mm-hmm. That one cracked me up.
Mm-hmm. The beginning pulled from.
What do you like?
Yeah.
I like what you like.
Yeah. That's an old favorite movie of mine, and when I wrote that song, I was like, oh, that would be the perfect like intro. Is that it's so? And what you're talking about, maybe you'll play it on the.
Yeah, we'll put it in
but,
there.
But basically, it's the beginning. The beginning lead-in is a section of. From the movie Coming to America, where he's dealing with that queen that has to be obedient, and he's like, "What do you like to do?" And she's like, "Whatever you like." And he goes, "What kind of music do you like?" And she goes, "Whatever kind of music you like." And so that was sort of the perfect lead-in for that song. 'Cause the song basically Sheeple about people
followers
that can't think for themselves. Yeah.
What do you like to do?
Whatever you like.
What kind of music do you like?
Whatever kind of music you like.
I'm gonna be what you want me to be. I'm gonna see what you want me to see. I only know what I'm gonna know. I only leave when you tell me to go. You take me down. I'm still around. Nothing to learn. I have no concern. I am to please but only to lose. I make a choice, I have nothing to choose. Give me thoughts and else with the word. After I put it, I'll find the bird. You take me down. I'm still around. Nothing to learn. I have no concern. Anything that you wanna know, you better ask someone else. Anytime that you need something, you just say jump, and I'm trying to figure out how high. Over passive and over control. You can break me down. You can make me fit anymore. Gonna say what you want me to say. Gonna be what you want me to be. No I, there's only a we. You take me down. I'm still around. Nothing to learn. I have no concern.
Yeah, there's a lot of those out here. I mean, here. Okay, around. That's what I should say, not here. All right. Another fun one was Beat Down. I sense some anger in there.
Yeah, it was growing up in the punk scene. You see some shit happen, and we're just telling a story.
Someone's going to be in a fight later.
It's a history. Every album's a history book. So we're just telling the stories we see. And so that one, yeah, I've seen a few people get kicked in the head with steel toes. So
oh dear,
wrote a song about it.
Oh dear, that's one thing about punk shows. Sometimes they can get out of hand. Fun though.
Yeah, it seems like it's gotten better over the years. Honestly, like I don't see anywhere near as many fights as we used to. It used to seem like there was shit cracking off all the time.
Like that was a regular stable for shows.
Yeah, like I remember like going to some, like one of them that comes to mind is, and I don't remember all the bands that were playing, but it was when they were having all those shows. I want to say it was called the OC Pavilion out in San Bernardino. Do you remember that venue?
I've heard of it.
It's going back a ways. I don't think they've had shows there in a long time, but I remember, they would just have these big shows. I mean, it would be like Bad Religion and Descendants and Guttermouth and all this shit. And, you'd have thousands of people there and like 2 security guards. And
don't worry, we got this.
Yeah, and just so if shit went down, it went down till it was done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just remember seeing like, well, that army seems to have more than that army, and it would just
go at
be
it.
like a Braveheart kind of a deal until it ended.
That's crazy. Yeah, I remember we played somewhere in Ukipe. No, not Ukipa. I don't know, but it was where the Mongols, I think, a bar. It was either Hell's Angels or Mongols. And we showed up. We were the first ones to play. And I'm like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm going home. And I was talking like, yeah, the other biker gang showed up. It got out of hand. Mm-hmm. Now, that didn't have anything to do with us. They weren't fans of us. But still, you're like, hey.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple ways to solve problems, I suppose.
Sometimes you just have to, have a throwdown.
It was funny, that song, though, because I remember we were writing it at Josh's house, and we were playing it over and over and trying to figure out like lyrics for it and stuff. And he had this friend come over, and she's like, she's only mind if I hang out like while you're writing the song? We're like, sure. So she's like, smoking pot or whatever, watching us write this song, and we come up with the line, "I'm so full of hate and rage that I'm going to take a shit." And she's just like, "You're going to put that in a song?" Like, it fits perfectly. It's like,
well, when I thought of it, it could be the anthem of everyone who goes to work, the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It's like, you're just lucky I'm not angry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing. It reminds me of the guy on the freeway. Like, remember that movie?
Oh, Takedown? No.
Falling down?
Yeah,
the guy sitting on the freeway loses it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one just cracked me up listening to it. I'm not going to lie. That was a funny one, just because I just thought about work. Sometimes you're like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, we try not to, like, I do try to take some songs seriously, but we also try to have a good time. And especially our live show, it's like, I'm not one of these guys that's going to, like, go up there and act like I'm going to change the world by playing a punk show. So we just try to go up there and have fun and party with everybody more than we try to, like, make any sort of, like, statement. Our songs make the statements on their own, and when we're there in person, we try to just have a good time.
That's good. I'll tell you, the worst one that I ever saw was The Used. So we saw him at the Warped Tour at Salt Lake, whenever it was.
Is that the guy that kept throwing up on stage or something like that?
I'm not sure, but I just know they play whatever their song is, and it's all awesome. And well, it's made like a 3-minute song. It's not like this is a long song. And then he'd give this 5-minute eulogy about life.
Yeah.
And then they'd play another 3-4 minute song, and this huge then discussion. I'm like,
that's the shit I'm talking about.
I didn't care to hear you talk.
Or the guys pacing back and forth, being like, "This song goes out to everybody who ever felt like you were mistreated ever, even one time."
It's like, yeah.
Like, have you ever felt sad? This song's for you because you should never have to feel sad.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, the same one, Andrew WK was there. Mm-hmm. That was crazy. He was fun. That dude was crazy. Yeah, I remember that was the first time I realized, you know what, I'm getting a little bit too big for crowd surfing, because I just go up, make about 2 people.
That's more our vibe. I love the Andrew WK thing. Like, people go out to have fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I guess, like, and who used to do a lot of that was Chris from Propaganda. When you go see him, he wanted to talk a lot and stuff, and he's gotten away from that over the years. And I remember when I was it was funny because I loved them so much, but even when I would go to their shows, I'd be like, dude, okay, enough with the preaching. Can we hear Ska Sucks now or what, Oh,
that's awesome. So the last one we can put on here that I thought was entertaining was the Schizophrenia Afternoon.
Schizophrenic Afternoon.
Okay.
Just a schizophrenic afternoon. Yeah, the voices keep on talking to me like I'm alone. Another schizophrenic afternoon. Yeah, the voices keep on mocking me like I'm alone. I try to medicate, it drags me down. I pray to God, but he's simply not around. Can't hold my head up, keeps falling down. I hear you talking to me, nobody's around. I try to meditate, but fall asleep. I take a leap of faith, but there's nowhere to lead. Can't think of anything better to do, so I pick up my guitar and play this song for you. Just a schizophrenic afternoon. Yeah, the voices keep on talking to me like I'm alone. Another schizophrenic afternoon. Yeah, the voices keep on mocking me like I'm alone. I try to sublimate to no avail. I pray to God even though I'm going to hell. I've got no room for this insanity. I need privacy from all my other personalities. And all the times that I'm satisfied, you've broken down, turned inside out, and told me they were lies. Not much to do with this multiplicity. Finding common ground with yourself is insanity. Schizophrenic afternoon. It's a schizophrenic afternoon. Schizophrenic afternoon. It's a schizophrenic afternoon. Just a schizophrenic afternoon. Yeah, the voices keep on talking to me like I'm alone. Another schizophrenic afternoon. Yeah, the voices keep on mocking me like I'm alone. Another schizophrenic afternoon. Yeah, the voices keep on talking to me like I'm alone.
I'm assuming just an exciting evening. There's one that made me think of my dad has. It's either Alzheimer's or dementia. And then my mom's dad did too. And I just thought, every day's a new day. Always new friends to meet every day.
Yeah, that's a song that Josh wrote. He sings that one. I don't know how much he wants me to get into this. Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. He's doing better.
He
Actually has had some issues for a number of years, and has worked through a lot of them. He's doing way better now. So
And that's good because there's definitely a huge stigmatism, it seems, on people that need to go get help like that. Oh, you're one of those. You need to go get help. It's like, you know what? Hey, sometimes you need help. There's nothing wrong with it, but a lot of people shun that or look down
Yeah,
on it.
and it's I saw a friend of mine, Chris Daly, he plays for drums for Authority Zero, if you're familiar with that band. He's also played in a bunch of, he's played with everybody, Strung Out, Pulley,
Okay.
all those. But anyway, he just made a post the other day talking about how he was doing some counseling and how it was helping him and stuff, and I thought it was super cool to see him do that, because I think, like you said, there are a lot of people that feel embarrassed by it, or that, there is some stigma that people are gonna, I don't know, think you're weird, or I don't know what the negative stigma is. I've had to go as well, so I'm there, but I thought it was cool to see that he posted that, because there's a lot of people that follow him and look up to him, and think that might have helped some people. So,
Well, if no one gets anything from this podcast, go get help if needed. Because I remember, like, my mom would always talk about that, especially around those old, 60s, 50s, 60s. Oh, you go to there. Like, it was totally shunned there in that time. You just had to suck it up, which usually made things worse, made your family worse, and everything.
and I think people only went if they clearly were out of their minds. It wasn't like you're just kind of having because I think a lot of us can coast.
Mm-hmm. It's not bad enough to destroy everything.
Yeah, you can be a functional, depressed person or whatnot, and you don't need to necessarily be that way. You can go be a happy, functional person.
So, what are you guys doing now? What's the plan for American Made?
Yeah, we're just so the plan right now is to kind of give that album as much exposure as we can since we weren't able to really do it the first time. So it's been kind of out in circulation for about 6 months or so, maybe a little bit longer, the way that, you know, the revised version. And we're just trying to get out there and play a lot of shows and keep kind of hustling and trying to get on as many quality things as we can. And then we do have some more new songs. And like you were talking about, like we were like thinking about going in and doing another album, but it seems that the way things are working more is like everybody's kind of putting out singles. So I don't know. For us, it would. I mean, if we go into the studio, we're definitely not going to go record one song because that
sounds like a waste.
Sense. But we would go in and probably record, 5 or 6 songs and then decide how to best release them. So
Okay.
I've been super into vinyl lately. That's been my thing. So we just actually sit right behind you in all those boxes is that's vinyl for our that Time album. So for me, it would be like, definitely maybe digitally releasing some singles. And that's one of the things I told you. I have a meeting after this to talk to a guy that knows more about that stuff than I do. Because one thing that I haven't really kept up with is how all the Spotify stuff works. There's so many things involved with that as far as like getting on playlists and all the stuff that I don't understand any of that stuff. So I'm actually going to meet with this guy and kind of talk to him, and that may dictate sort of how we go about putting out some new stuff based on this conversation I'm going to have in a few minutes, because I know that it's not being done the old way. And so, I mean, I'll look at maybe releasing them as singles, and I'd love to put out a 7-inch, and because I'm, like I said, I'm really into vinyl right now, so it'd be cool to have a 7-inch, and then just kind of once we get the songs done, figure out what the best course of action is.
Yeah, I don't understand the whole singles thing. Sometimes I think about maybe it'd be cool because I can write songs, but when it comes to lyrics, I'm absolute doo-doo. Like the last album I did, I think I done with everything in a month, and then it took the rest of the 10, 12 months just to do the lyrics. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, if I could do a single, I just only have to do that once.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the dark of whether, I know people are releasing singles, but it seems like it'd be such a waste of time or not time, but resources to go into the studio to do one song. I figure if you're going to mic up all that, drums and everything and, get your tones all dialed in and stuff and just do one song, it just seems like...
Okay, we're done.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. But I was talking to this guy. His name's Riff. He runs a recording studio out in L.A. In fact, I think he just recorded the last No Effects album. He was telling me, that people don't have in today's day and age with like all the short format stuff, with TikTok and all this shit, that people don't have the attention spans to sit down and listen to albums anymore, that everything's singles now. So he's like, you guys should come in and just do a single. And I'm like, well, I'll come in and do 5 singles, but I'm not going to.
And then we'll release one every now and then.
Exactly. But and we haven't decided where we're going or anything like that. But that was an interesting conversation that I had with him, because he was just like, it's just like, it's almost like it's so weird to think that evolution through technology has affected the attention span of humans to the fact where they won't sit down and listen to an album anymore. But apparently that seems to be the case.
Well, I was talking with my brother. I think YouTube, one of their things is a lot of people are doing 10 minutes because a lot of people aren't starting to listen. It's getting shorter and shorter.
Well, the other problem is that the algorithms that they have reward that. They for example, a perfect example. I put out a live video of American Made, I don't know, within the last week, and it was 2 songs. It was like about a 4-minute video, and it had 2 songs on it. We played a song and then rolled right into the next song, and it's awesome. I love that video. Put it out, and we got basically shit for
Nothing.
hits. It's all you got 80 views or something like that, right? And so then I was like, okay, that sucks, because I put a lot of work into editing that and everything.
Yeah.
And then we had the Sean Sullivan professionally mixed the multi-track audio that I had sent him for that video, and it was cost me a few $100 and time.
Yeah.
So then I just basically, rather than it being in a YouTube laid out format, I can't remember, how you have the longer landslide view that YouTube shows.
Yeah.
I switched it over to more of the
box
Instagram view, for it's the long up and down rectangle.
Okay, yeah.
And then I made it 1 minute rather than 4 minutes, and boom, all of a sudden we get all these hits. You know what I mean? So the algorithm itself just goes, oh, I like the way this looks. It's short and it fits my screen better, so therefore I'm going to show it to more people.
It's
just
dumb.
silly.
That's so dumb.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to work the system. So, just out of curiosity, lastly, when you write your songs, so now you're a piano player, do you use the piano a lot when you write your songs? Do you find keys that you like more than other? How does that work?
Yeah, some of them I do write on the piano just because it allows me to hear the more more harmony lines.
Okay.
So I would say more often the more melodic songs often have been kind of started on the piano. Okay. Not all the time. I mean, songs come up all different ways, but like Misery, for example, I can sure the one for sure the one that you mentioned earlier, I wrote on the piano. At least just the melody line, and then I kind of figured out how to convert it to being a punk song. And so I come up with lots of ideas and lots of melody lines and things like that, and then I convert them over. And so they may just be they may start on the piano, but be in a very infant stage, like no lyrics or anything like that. Just
basic.
Just some, those harmonies sound cool. What notes are those? Okay, that's a D, F, and an A. That's a D minor. Okay, I'll play the D on bass. I'll have Josh play the F and Nick play the A, and we'll start it that way. And then we'll kind of jump around to different chords, like through them playing octaves and me playing the root note on bass. So that's one way we do it. And then some of them are just written like I'll just kind of get an idea. I'll be like, I'm going to do a heavy song, and then I'm not using the piano on something like that. And you'll hear we have about 3 songs that I actually incorporated the keyboard on. One of them is our song American Made. At the beginning, you'll hear a little bit of like piano. And then we have a song called I Pledge where I do some strings. And then we have another song called...
that one's on Misery, right?
Yeah, both those 2 are on the self-titled album,
Okay.
which is the one that Misery's on. And then on our Time album at the beginning of Gods and Government, there's like a little kind of keyboard line on there. It actually... I had written it on the piano, and when we did it on the piano, it didn't translate as well as we thought, so we ended up putting some effects on top of the piano, and it makes it sound a little bit more electronic. And did that answer your question? I'm trying to think of.
Yeah. I mean, do you stick fairly closely to a key? Okay, you're going to play in an A.
So we basically translate our keys for our vocals. So okay. I might write a song initially in C, but when I sing it, it's like too high for me. Okay. So we'll drop it down to A or something like that. So we basically just move all of our songs around to be best for us to attack the choruses on our...
However the vocals work.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thanks for joining me on this, and hopefully we can do it again. What you guys got shows coming up?
Yeah, we have a bunch actually. But the next big one that we have coming up is going to be Warfest, which is April 22nd at the Gas Lamp in Long Beach. And in fact, if you want, I don't know if you do any live stuff, but if you'd like me to give you a couple of tickets to give away for your show to advertise, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Yeah, we can see that.
Cool. Yeah. But yeah, April 22nd, Gas Lamp Long Beach. We're going to be playing with TSOL, The Stitches, Mike Ness's son's new band, which is called Julian James and the Love Bombs, and a bunch of good local bands.
Okay, that's totally awesome.
Yep. And then we got a couple other things. If you go to our website, AmericanMade.com, and you go to the tour section, there's probably 7 or 8 shows listed on there you can check out.
Are you guys going to start doing touring, like bigger, moving out?
We'd like to. We don't. It's hard for us to go away for long periods of time because we all have so much stuff going on that differs from each other. So most likely it's going to be weekend runs. If we get on something really juicy, like something that would be like playing for 500 to 1,000 people, or something like that, then we would do longer. But
you're not going to go to Bob's Bar in Arizona for a weekend?
Yeah, we don't really want to drive all around the country if we're not playing for more than like a couple hundred people a night. You know what I mean?
That's smart.
But we will do smaller shows on weekend runs. So we may, like we were going to just shoot out and do the Double Down in Vegas last weekend, and then we were going to shoot over to Sandbar in Bullhead City, which is near Laughlin, but we ended up it was snowing on the 15, so we ended up deciding to reschedule those.
Was that this last weekend?
Yeah.
Man, they canceled, because I know I was talking with VCS, and they're like, yeah, we're getting ready for a TSOL show. Canceled.
Yeah, theirs was in Big Bear, so that was even more sketchy. But
them roads are sketchy to begin with.
It was a combination of it was snowing out there, and we have a pretty rickety tour van, and I heard that some semis were blowing over, and it just didn't sound good. And then on top of that, the second night out in Bullhead City was an outdoor venue, and it was supposed to be raining out there, and I was just like, man, we could be risking our lives. We could, we're gonna have to drive through snow for sure, and then when we get to Vegas, is anybody even going to go out if it's freezing cold? And then are we going to play the second show in the rain, or is it going to can't? And so we just said, let's just go back another weekend.
That's smart. It's better to be smart than dead. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.